Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Informist, where we will inform you, our listeners, about the technological industry, apps you should download on your favorite gadgets, and much, much more. My name is JJ Hammond. Are you ready to be informed? Of course you are. Up first, our guest for the show. He is an award-winning technological writer with more than 2 decades experience writing for mainstream media outlets and online publications. He is an author of more than 25 books, including Microsoft Office Inside Out, 2013 edition, and Windows 7 Inside Out. The very talented Ed Bott. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, JJ. It's great to be here. Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Ed. How are you?
Very good. And hello to everyone out in podcast land.
Yes. Come to me, everyone. And this show is not possible, however, without the other person you heard laughing there, my good friend, founder of this show and what is STLTechTalk.com LLC, the uncanny Kevin Harvell. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, everybody. JJ, glad to see you once again, and hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday.
Yeah, Kevin, ditto, and you avoided me, but it's okay. And don't forget, everyone, to visit thetechinformist.com for all of our past shows, such as Mary Jo Foley, Paul Thurrott, Jerry Hiltonbrand, Phil Nickinson, Daniel Rubino, all those guys. And if you're interested in learning more about technology, you can go to stltechtalk.com. If you're wanting to know more about coding, go to Codecast by STL Tech Talk, and you will get awesome information there. Both of those have shows, so I suggest all of you go download and watch those and all of that stuff. And don't forget, you can interact with this show by sending us feedback to contact@thetechinformist.com and Twitter. Just tweet at us, guys, @TechInformist. It's not hard. Follow us. Tweet to us. Tweet at us. Tweet around us. Tweet through us. Special thank yous to everybody who's participated on Twitter and to our last guest. We can't thank Jerry Hiltonbrand enough for coming on the show. And I want to thank the sponsor of the show, Unidev. If you dream it, they can build it. Custom software, end-to-end development, beautiful web design, and creative marketing solutions. In business for the last 25 years, with 200-plus customers and 24/7 support, you will not be let down or left out on the creation of your dreams. If you want software development, because who doesn't, content management, mobile development, e-commerce solutions, digital marketing, and hosting, go to unidev.com. That's unidev.com to find out how you can get the high-quality service you deserve today. So let's get to the reason why we're all here, and that's to talk with our guest, Ed Bott. What led you to pursue a career in journalism?
Oh, gosh, JJ, I wanted to be a journalist, a professional writer since as early as I can remember. In fact, I actually had my first neighborhood newspaper when I was, I think, either 5 or 6 years old. And what's funny is my longtime co-author, Carl Seekert, has the exact same story. He published when he was just a kid about the same age. He had a newspaper for his local neighborhood as well. So I think it's just something that's kind of genetic. You want to tell stories.
Nice. So in particular, what was it that led you to covering technology? And in particular, you focus a lot on Microsoft, Windows, and all that. What led you that direction?
Well, a lot of that is just a pure accident of timing. I started my career in journalism actually working for consumer magazines. I worked for Playboy for 4 years.
Did you get to go to the house? Did you get to go to the mansion?
I did. In fact, there's a whole series of questions that people ask when I recite that part of my resume.
I won't, because you're probably like.
The answers are yes, no, never, of course, and I wish.
I guess the last one was, did you sleep with a, no.
That's the last. But anyway.
We're a family show, so that's just this lying next to someone sleeping.
But I went on from consumer magazines into trade magazines and worked in the semiconductor industry for a while. Then there was an opening at PC World magazine in the late 1980s for a managing editor. And so I got hired for that job. And one thing led to another, and I wound up as executive editor and then editor of PC Computing magazine, and that was in 1991 and 1992, and that's when Windows was really taking off, and that's also when I started, and we became essentially the the primary source of information for Windows for more than 1 million readers a month.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and so as a result, we were doing things like the Windows Super Guide, and which was this. We'd have like issues of the magazine that were 500 pages a month, and so I wound up getting out of management, out of editorial management, and into full-time writing. And if you were a technology writer in the period from say 1992 to 2000. What was happening was Windows, and so I was writing. I added it up one time, and it was well over 1 million words that I wrote during that 8-year period at PC Computing, and almost all of it was about either Microsoft Windows or Microsoft Office. And then of course came all the books. So once you get a niche, you get good at it. People keep coming back and offering more work. So.
Well, it's a service, right? You're providing a service. I mean, because they don't have time to do that kind of thing, and that's what the whole journalism thing was. I miss the holding of the paper. I don't know if you still get papers or whatever, but I kind of miss that cliche of drinking coffee and holding the paper. You know what I mean? It was providing a service, right? And when you find a niche for writing or whatever it is, you make that groove and then you perfect your art, right? Because I mean, let's be honest. I mean, writing, really any kind of profession is an art, but writing especially, it seems to be an art because you have to target stuff, right? You have to hit the buzzwords and then keep their attention, which is really difficult, and this day and age more so than it's ever been, I think.
Well, sure. With me having a career that goes back to when there was only paper, and now when it's almost exclusively online, there's a couple of different skills in there. If somebody's picked up your magazine or your newspaper or whatever, they've already made a commitment to it.
Right.
They might set it down, but they can pick it back up because it's on the coffee table there. Whereas with an online thing, it's you click a link and you start reading, and if I can't grab you in the first 2 sentences, you're going to click away, and you might never come back. So,
right.
But the one big difference between the days when it was all paper versus today when it's mostly all online, the 2 big improvements, as far as I'm concerned, are number one, as a writer, I have direct access to the publish button. Whereas in the magazine publishing industry, I would file a story, and then it would go to an editor, and then to a copy editor, and then to another editor, and then to a production person, and a designer, and a printer, and finally to you. And that could take weeks.
Right.
For a monthly magazine, it could take 6 weeks between the time I wrote something and the time that it got into your hands. Whereas today, I write something, I click publish, and you can be reading it 5 minutes after I finished writing it, which is just astonishing. And the other thing that's good about the world that we live in now is that we're not constrained by the number of words that will fit on a page. There were times when I would have a story that I'd want to write or a set of instructions that I'd want to give to my readers, and I'd get the words back from the designer, and they'd say, you need to cut 50 words out of this. But
this is on the page. Yeah.
This is perfect, and if I take something out, then I've removed this element that the readers need to understand, and they go, yeah, well, great, now cut 50 words. Whereas with online publishing, you can go, there's essentially no limits to it. So that's good. The downside, of course, is that with online publishing, you lose those editors, and the editors may have been, they may have been frustrating for writers in many respects, but they also added authority, fact-checking, and a sort of continuous voice to a publication. Yeah. And these days, these days you're more likely to hear the voice of a particular writer rather than the voice of a particular site or publication. So the world changes, and I think I prefer the one we're in now to that one. So
how was the transition for you from a red pen to the highlight and cross out and highlight something in red?
That's an interesting question. A lot of it, I think, has to do with a matter of personal style. How willing are we as individuals to adopt new technology? And one thing that's made it possible for me to keep writing about technology for as long as I have is that I like technology. I like new stuff. I'm not, I don't spend a lot of time saying this new version sucks. The old version was better.
Right.
Mine is more about here's what's new in the new stuff. So I tended to embrace a lot of the new editing technologies early on, and even tended to sometimes push them before they were even ready.
Wow. Well, look at you, Mr. Progressive. You're up, Kevin.
Yeah. Now, we got a question from Michael Martinez via Twitter. Do you happen to remember what your first published article was about, by chance?
Wow.
Thank you, Martinez.
I think, yeah. Hi, Michael. Good to see you somewhere other than Twitter. The first published article. The first one was, of course, when I was like 6 years old, and I think it was about the Corrigan's house burning down at the end of the street. But the first one that I was paid for, I think, was actually, and it was when I was working for Playboy. It was for Wii magazine, and it was an article about these little handheld gadgets that a couple of different companies were selling. This would have been back in the early 1980s, that purported to help people become better racetrack handicappers. And so you could punch in that you'd carry this little calculator to the racetrack with you and get your racing form, and you would punch these numbers into the thing, and then it would tell you who to bet on. So I did actually. It was it was before there. I don't think the even the IBM PC had come out yet. This was probably a year before the IBM PC. But it was actually a head-to-head review of these calculators for helping people become rich at the racetrack. And of course the conclusion was nope, didn't work. But
they
it
were
was
both
kind of
just
fun.
BS.
Yeah, well, it was I think what was interesting about it, and it's similar to a lot of things that we see today, is there was the germ of a good idea, but but still, even today, the idea that you can find an app that's going to, say, get you organized or make you a perfect communicator or a perfect writer,
right?
Those things don't exist. An app might be able to help you with certain aspects of your technique, might be able to point you in general directions, but I still think that we're not. Those were 30 years ago, those were just sort of crude apps that were embedded in a calculator. And we have similar things today. They're tools. They're not. We still don't have anything that is perfect.
Right. And you've got to take the time to use them. That's huge to organize your life. So journalism. As you know, Ed, you've been around for a while. Journalism's changed a lot in the last 20 years. What advice would you give to people that are interested in getting into journalism, and what has been some of your likes and dislikes of the changes we've seen over the years? I know we've kind of touched on that a little bit with the going from print to digital, but what are some of your other suggestions?
Sure. Well, the two biggest challenges for anyone who wants to get into tech, we'll make it tech journalism, for the specific focus there. One of them is timeless, which is that you have to learn how to write, and the only way to learn how to write is just to write.
Yep.
And the good news is that between things like Tumblr and Medium and WordPress and all of these, there's no excuse for not having a place where you can write for an audience that that might be one person, 10 people, 100 people, and you can build up a body of work that you can go back and look at yourself, but also potential employers or potential people who want to hire you for freelance work can go back and look at. So it's really, especially in an age when people are likely to find you on Twitter, where you're limited to 140 characters, it's nice to be able to have a link to a body of work you can go back to, and you can look at it yourself and improve your technique by seeing what you did a year ago versus what you're doing today. But so that's the sort of timeless thing that hasn't really changed much. Just you want to learn how to write, just write. The thing that's really tough today is even if you can find somebody to pay you, and even if they will pay you enough to that you can make a living doing it, it is so hard to break free of the clutter. What I call the tech meme effect, where some story comes out and then immediately within half an hour there's 40 or 50 or 100 different websites that have taken their own different take on it.
Right.
And it's really, so there's a real temptation in that case to focus on being first, and it's almost impossible to be first. And as a result, you wind up, if you're any good at it, you wind up being in the top 3 or 4 or 5, which, so what? So I think it's really more important, rather than trying to be first, is to try and have a distinct point of view, something where you can maybe even step back from the story a little bit and come up with an angle that nobody else got.
Nice.
And if you can do that, if you can do that once a month or once a week, or then you're going to stand out to people, and you're going to have more of an opportunity to have people remember you. Because if you're just the kind who's I'm writing what they call a write-through, where you basically I read something on some big name tech site and now I'm going to rewrite it using my own words. That's not much different from handing in a term paper that you copied and rewrote from Wikipedia.
Right. Crowdsourced writing, right?
Yeah, so having it's always been true. If you want to be successful, you need to have a point of view, and so ultimately you have to develop an expertise, and you have to develop something that says, "Wow, I want to come back and read this person's point of view again." And one of the best things that you can do is find writers that you admire, and follow their stuff carefully, and you can figure out what their secrets are by or not so much their secrets, but what it is that makes them successful by reading them regularly.
Yeah, I like that. Oh, well, I like reading Mary Jo stuff.
Mary Jo's amazing.
Yeah.
Mary Jo's amazing. Christina Warren at Mashable is really, really good. I love her stuff. There's probably a half a dozen people that I just follow, and when I see that they have something new, I don't put it on my list of stuff to read later. I click that link and I want to read it now.
Yeah. So I bet you do, like when you're reading something that's solid, you're like, this is so good for my eyeballs and brains, and then when you read something bad, you're like, no, oh, this is garbage. Do you ever just want to like kind of anonymously troll that person? I know I do. There's a couple of people who will remain nameless because I don't want them to know it's me, that I just hate reading their stuff because it's so not right. But yeah, that's interesting. I think clickbait is something that bothers me a little bit, as
Right.
far as it's one of those things like I try to keep up as much as I can with Windows because I use it, so I want to know more about it as much as I can. And I think Neowin, ZDNet, you and Mary Jo, and I read Paul's stuff,
Sure.
and all of that sort of thing, Windows Central and that type of jazz. But some of the other stuff that I see fly across my feeds, you know, like my newsreaders and that sort of thing, like to pick up and all that, is just really, it's annoying when I see that they just copy and pasted, like you said, and
Yeah.
and they caught me. You know, I feel like I gave them what they were looking for, which was a hit, right? Instead of like rewarding them for a good article. You know what I mean? So it's hard for me sometimes. It's like, oh gosh, you know. So I've created a OneNote list of clickable links to your guys' stuff instead of the other way around of doing like a newsreader app that I just, you know, give them hits for using. So I know that people didn't ask me my opinion on this, but this is just what I'm saying to you, is this is what I do to keep from rewarding those with just I found a really intriguing clickable link or headline that will bring you to me.
Yeah, I think that there's a great deal of value in that approach. And the word clickbait is an interesting one.
Isn't it? I thought so.
Yeah, I heard somebody describe this the other day, and he did a very good uh, explication of what makes something clickbait, and it finally made everything, you'll pardon the expression, click into place for me. Clickbait isn't a bad story. It's when the headline promises something and doesn't deliver it.
Oh, thank you.
Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
that's what, you know, clickbait is. You know, you tricked me, you fooled me into clicking this, and then when I got to it, I was disappointed because you made a promise in the headline that you couldn't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, so if I write a story that says, you know, here are 6 things that are going to make you more productive with OneNote,
right,
and then you click that link and you read it and you say, wow, yes, I think I really will be more productive with OneNote. You're not going to feel cheated.
right. You're right. Yeah.
And so the odd thing is that a site like BuzzFeed, which tends to get categorized as clickbait a lot, you know,
Yeah.
most of the time you click on something from BuzzFeed, you get exactly what you were promised. 23 animals that are cuter than you would ever believe. And when you get to the end of that, you go, yep, you know, they found some pretty cute animals out there.
Right. Congratulations. Real quick, so I'm sitting on the couch. We have a love seat, me and my wife. So I'm looking over at her screen. She looks at mine sometimes, and we kind of back and forth. And she got caught because we're trying to focus. It's you know, it's that time of year where we try to, you know, kind of plan out not getting fat over the holidays, and how we're gonna not allow, you know, the weather to keep us from doing stuff. And one of the things was, you know, I think it was like 3 different things that you're doing that are unhealthy, or 6 different things or whatever that you're doing that's unhealthy that you should really take another look at. And I'm like, okay, well, that seems legitimate or whatever. So we checked it out, and all of those things were BS. They were just like stuff that I could have thought of in a fight. Like, I need to write an article, and I want it to get clicked on, and I really don't care what happens after that. Got it. So then that's exactly what somebody did to us. Not cool, guy, girl.
Yeah, and that's
Not
really
cool.
lazy work. And you know, I'm really glad you said that, because there's a lot of that goes on in tech journalism.
Mm.
And you know what happens there is somebody started with the headline and then began writing.
Right.
And you know what? If you start with an article and then you write the headline, you're going to do better. It's just that's just a fact, because I've read so many lazy stories that you can tell there was some editor who told some writer, you know, I need 6 reasons why Satya Nadella is going to fail as the CEO of Microsoft.
Right.
Okay, well, you know, and then, you know, and by the time they get to number 6, they have, maybe even by the time they get to number 4, they've completely run out of ideas, and they're just throwing stuff against the wall. And I have the same reaction that you do, which is I feel disappointed, cheated, and that writer's name goes on my list of, you know,
Yeah, you've been
anytime I see
blacklisted.
something from that writer, I ain't clicking on it.
Yeah, you've been blacklisted. All right. You're on the list, and it's not good to be on the list. Kevin, you're up with the next question. This is a good one. I'm kind of curious about this.
All right, so you mentioned before the show that you're using Windows 10. JJ, I know you're using it. I'm using it on one of my machines as well.
Yeah.
I know right now you're not having the greatest time, JJ.
Yeah, I got clean and stuff.
What are your thoughts on the current Windows 10 tech preview, and what else would you like to see Microsoft do to make it even better?
Sure. Well, the Windows 10 tech preview at the moment is still pretty early. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that isn't in it yet. A lot of stuff that isn't finished. So I think rather than try and give 6 things Microsoft must do to improve Windows 10, I'll bet that if you Googled that, you would find that story.
Right.
Probably.
A lot of it is, I know there's things coming in it. For example, Cortana is going to be, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'm really looking forward to seeing the touch-centric version of Internet Explorer coming back. They took it out in the previews. They're reworking it, and it's going to make a reappearance at some point, probably as Internet Explorer 12. And that will be interesting. There's the whole continuum portion of Windows 10, which is that part that's going to it's going to detect when you've switched from a touchscreen device to a mouse and keyboard device and back and forth, and adjust the user interface on the fly for you if you want it to be. There are other changes that are coming in that'll take more of the desktop stuff and move it into the more modern interface and stuff. So and we're probably I think the latest that I heard is there's probably going to be a consumer preview release around the end of January.
Right.
And I think that's the time right now. Unless you're a hardcore early adopter, really experienced at working with unfinished software, you really shouldn't be playing with this. But come the end of January, I'm genuinely excited to see what happens there.
Awesome. That makes me feel a little better.
Does that answer that question, Kevin?
Yeah.
Yes, I believe it does.
Oh wait, you directed that towards Kevin. Kevin? No.
With Continuum, that's exactly the reason why I don't have it on my Surface Pro 3 at the moment. Because I'm not even going to bother with it until Continuum's released and does what Joe Belfiore showed off.
There is one bug. There is one bug in the Windows 10 preview right now that might be the thing that's making you crazy, JJ. And that's there's a resource leak in the in Explorer.exe, and as a result, when you're especially if you go to sleep and resume, do that a few times, you'll come back and the interface will start freezing and Windows will stop repainting and menus won't work and stuff. And is that what you're seeing?
Yes.
Okay, so all you need to do is instead of rebooting, which is what you've been doing, all you need to do is go into Task Manager.
Okay.
And go to the Details tab, or no, actually on the Processes tab, and just kill and restart Explorer, and you'll be back to normal.
What? I hate when stuff's ridiculously easy to fix and I haven't figured it out.
30
That's
seconds.
awesome. Thank you, Ed. I owe you something now. I don't know. What's like your favorite food? I'll have it shipped to you. That's awesome. I
should probably write that down.
I know. Article.
And share that with people. I discovered it recently, and it's
That's the issue I've been having. That's really cool.
All right. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to go write that article and I'll tweet you a link to it.
Oh, I love you long time. You know what? You're an awesome dude. I don't care what anybody says. I will bust them in the mouth.
I don't care what they say either.
Yeah. No, you shouldn't. I mean, because you know your stuff. So you are a 8-time Microsoft MVP. And one of the biggest issues I've been talking to when I talk to Microsoft MVPs has been their lack of care about Windows Phone in general. Like, from an application standpoint, from just all of this standpoint. We're going to ask you a little bit looking forward to 2015, and I'm going to kind of wrap a couple of questions in here, so we'll take them one at a time, obviously, which is, what do you use a Windows Phone, and if not, why don't you?
Well, I have been using Windows Phone for several years. The phone that I'm using at the moment is an iPhone 6 Plus.
Okay.
Main reason for that is because I can only be on Verizon.
Oh.
Verizon is the worst
Right.
Windows Phone. I have a Lumia Icon, and it is it's a wonderful phone, but guess what? We don't even have the Cyan firmware update for that, much less the official Windows 8.1, Windows Phone 8.1 update. And so, it's. I think though, so if you're a Verizon customer
or Sprint,
or Sprint, your Windows Phone options are just so limited that it's very frustrating. AT&T, on the other hand, you get a great choice of phones, and T-Mobile, T-Mobile not so much. So anybody who's in AT&T's world, great. Anybody who's in Verizon's world, it's really challenging. Having said that, Windows 10 is what's going to bring the desktop and mobile operating systems together. You're already seeing the convergence of the apps, so that I have an app like Tweetium, my favorite Twitter app. You use that, you buy that. It runs on your Windows Phone. It runs on your Windows desktop. It runs on your Surface Pro. Great opportunity. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I do realize that Windows Phone has been the wait till next year operating system for 3 years in a row now. But this time I think they might mean it.
It's just been. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
Windows 10, when it brings that together, it's really going to be sort of moment of truth for not just for Microsoft, but for the developer community and for the carriers.
Agreed.
Because that's beyond that, I don't see what else they can do.
Yeah, because the reason why I say this is literally over the last couple of weeks we went to a .NET conference. We spoke with several different MVPs. Everyone is not. They're not even thinking about developing for Windows. It's not even on their radar. And I'm starting to get this thing where it's like, if it doesn't happen this year, it's not gonna happen. Period. And in Windows 10, honestly, I loved because it wouldn't work. But when I start using it again, my biggest thing is the Windows part of it. Like it be like Metro apps in a window that I can minimize and make bigger and all this sort of thing. I know that's a small thing, but man, I really love that. So as far as the Windows Phone thing goes, if it's able to just run like a desktop essentially on a phone, which is kind of what they're shooting for a little bit, I would think, then I think it's golden, because then you don't have to take out so much time to really write to the device, right? So it's not a web wrapper necessarily, but you can use a modern app inside this device, and it makes more sense. And man, if people don't start developing for this, it's going to be really tough. The next question, sorry, Kevin, I want to talk about. Both Kevin and I are wearing the Microsoft band. Were you surprised at how secret the secret that Microsoft was able to keep with this band, announcing it the night before it was available in stores?
Yeah, I was surprised, and I wrote an article last month about some of the changes that have happened to Microsoft in the past year, as Satya Nadella has taken over, and one of them is that they have really and truly learned how to keep a secret. And that was one of the big ones. Now, I thought it was a little odd. I think they must have been close to having somebody break an embargo or something, because they released that like, wasn't the World Series going on?
Yeah, it was like 6 or 7 o'clock at night Central Time.
And,
It was a very odd hour.
yeah, on a Thursday night
Wednesday
or
night.
Wednesday night or something like that. It was a very odd time for it to be released. So I think it was sort of like, okay, we better push this press release out here before it starts showing up on sites and we have to officially comment on it. But the fact that they were able to keep it a secret for so long it's interesting that Microsoft is doing it, and they've been able to do that with multiple products. This over the past half year or year. So it really is kind of a different company. Now today, I think they're about to announce. I don't think they've officially announced it yet, but they're about to announce that they've bought an app called Acompli.
Okay.
And that's an app that's I've been using it on iOS and Android, and it's basically Outlook for the iPhone and Android phones. It does exchange email better than any app that any mobile app I've ever seen. Works tremendously well, and so they would have kept that one a secret too, except that somebody accidentally published a blank blog post to the Microsoft RSS feed last week that had the title of the post in the URL. And
brother.
But with little boo-boos like that aside, and those things happen, they've gotten really good at keeping a secret. Now I don't have a band yet. I think it's interesting that I think it's a really good, surprisingly good version 1.0.
Yes.
But it reminds me in many ways of the original Surface Pro, which was filled with good ideas. And if you go back and you look at it now, only 2 years later, with 2 more iterations during that time, you look at it and you see it's, the good ideas were there, but it looks downright chunky and blocky
Right.
compared to what you have now. So I'm going to wait on the band. I'm going to wait for version 2 or maybe even version 3
Gotcha.
before I get into that.
Yeah, I've been happy with mine. But if this is what's to come, this cross-platform, just get all that the stuff out there. I'm excited about it. I think that I think this is really cool, and I'm looking forward to reading what you have to say about it. Let's just say that.
So am I.
Not just with the band, but everything that's coming, because this next year. I mean, this year for Microsoft has been crazy newsworthy stuff, right? I mean, it's been, instead of quiet, it's just been really nonstop with Visual Studios, cross-platform development, Xamarin stuff, Windows 10, Windows Preview, Windows Phone, and the Windows, just all this stuff that's coming. Cortana.
Office, I think Office for iPad was a was a very big part of that story as well, with the idea being, I think what Microsoft is saying, we are serious about making sure that our world-class products and services, Exchange, Office, the OneDrive, cloud storage, Azure, all of those things, you can come to us on any platform,
right?
And we will support it. And that's sort of
had to do that.
Sort of going back to the company's roots in many ways.
Yeah, and I think and I'd like to get your opinion on this. There's a lot of people who don't like when Microsoft does that. They want everything to be the best and only on Windows, and I think that that's a way to die. I think that's a bad way to do things. I think Cortana should be on everything. I think apps should be on everything, because if you start using this stuff and like it, I mean, that's what helps promote the rest of everything else, right? I mean, Xbox Music, Xbox Video, Xbox this, Xbox that needs to be on everything. It only helps. It only helps, right, to get people into the ecosystem. And I would like to see more of that, and I think that we are seeing more of that. I mean, I think, I've been using a lot of the Windows services. I mean, it's crazy that I can use Excel on an Android phone. It's crazy that I can use Word and Outlook and OneNote and the Health app and all those things. So are you excited to see that cross-platform stuff going forward?
Yeah, I am excited to see that, and especially because it finally goes back to that notion of you don't have to choose a team.
Right.
For the longest time, it was you want to be, you want to use this set of technologies, you want to use this set of services. Guess what? You are stuck with a limited selection of devices. And when you go to the secondary or tertiary devices or platforms, you wind up with either no support or very weak support.
Right.
And so as a result, you have a lot of what's happened, a lot of the excitement that's occurred in the past 5 years has been with apps. You look at the things that have been successful, things like Dropbox and Evernote, Spotify, those things that are, and Pandora, things that people love and use and adopt. And guess what? They weren't on Windows or Windows Phone except as either an afterthought or a checklist item where a weak app got developed and then said, we already developed our Windows Phone app, so you get Evernote, right? We already developed that. Now we're going to go back and put our effort into the iOS app as we do. I think you're getting to the point now where you can. There's a recognition in the world that people are going to say, I have a Surface Pro 3, which I really like, and an iPhone, which I really like, and there's no reason that those two devices shouldn't work very, very well together.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agreed. Well, I don't want to take up any more of your time. This was a phenomenal conversation. Kevin, you're up with the last one.
All right, so the last thing, just wanted to quickly ask before we let you go for the day is, what are you really looking most forward to in 2015?
Oh, man. Well, I think I'm looking forward to it being over. Because and the reason I say that is I've got 3 book contracts I'll be working on for next year. Windows 10 Inside Out for Microsoft Press. I'll be writing, plus a couple other projects that I can't talk about. I know there's going to be new versions of Office coming out simultaneously with that, which are going to occupy a whole bunch of my brain. So I have a feeling that come the end of the year, I'm going to look back and say, oh my God, I did a lot of stuff this year. And hopefully I will be doing that while sitting on the veranda of some really nice place, sipping a drink and enjoying a well-deserved break. Now, I think 2015 is going to be really exciting for people who are even peripherally in the Microsoft ecosystem. There's a lot to look forward to. So it's going to be fun.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, absolutely. Well, I gotta say, you are a cool dude. You're now, having met you, you're humble and awesome. You allowed me and Kevin to talk to you, which is awesome. So thank you. Where can people find out more about what you do and follow just all that stuff for our listeners?
Well, probably the easiest place to find me is on Twitter at Bott, which is pretty easy to remember, EDBOTT. Mostly what I write these days goes at ZDNet.com, and if you want the short URL, ZDNet.com/blog/bot, that'll get you there. But just go to ZDNet.
Bot with 2 T's. Bot with 2 T's.
BOTT, right?
There you go. Yeah, because I made the mistake of just doing the one. And
it's a very different kind of botnet.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. Well, I won't get into that. I hate those bots and stuff like that. Those virtual machines are killer. So like I said, from the bottom of both of our heart, thank you for taking out the time. Thank you for talking with us. It was a phenomenal talk. Anytime you want to come back on and talk to us, just let us know, and we'll get you on. Super excited to look forward to this next year. After this next year, reading all the stuff that you're gonna have put out. And if there's one person that will probably deserve to go back to the Playboy Mansion, it's you, to have a drink or two. No. Over this next year, so that's going to be really exciting. So again, thank you for all you do, and thanks for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Take care.
All right, have a wonderful day. See ya.
Bye.
So what's going on, JJ? How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Now let's get let's get to informing you on all things tech, starting with Kevin and your first news story.
Yeah, we've got a lot of stuff this week. I mean, you would kind of think things would have been a little slow with the whole Thanksgiving break, but you got Black Friday and all that other stuff. But we're going to start this off by talking about drones. There was a filmmaker recently. His name is Danny Cook, and this was on a 60 Minutes report that recently aired, where he took some drones and went over to Chernobyl, which many of you know, big nuclear reactor accident that pretty much just, made that area completely unlivable, and totally filmed this area in a whole new way. And you're starting to see more and more of these filmmakers use drones to record this normally hard to reach footage, and being able to do this a little bit more safe way. We'll link to this. This is a Verge article that's on there, and then you can also, within that, there's also the link to the full 60 Minutes report. But take a look at the video. They fly by the Ferris wheel at the amusement park that was scheduled to open like within a week or two after, unfortunately the accident happened, so it never got to open, and it's just still there. It's interesting looking footage, and I think everybody will like this.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I took a look at that, and I was just like, I could see more of this sort of thing being pretty cool. I would like to see a drone, or drones plural, like fly around like people's like polluters and stuff, and like just see like the crazy pollution that's getting dumped. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that would be mad crazy, right? Like to watch that. That would be pretty cool. I'm not one of those people. Don't write into the show and tell me how much you fall on that sort of thing. But no, this is really cool, man. This is really cool tech news. Because like you said, I mean, Chernobyl, it's a big deal, obviously. And I think drones are, that's something that I could see myself just getting deep, right? Like some people do the model trains thing. I think this is like the new version of that.
Yeah, model trains, model planes, for example.
Yeah, model planes and cars and all this thing, and like robots. I think drones are the next thing for that. I really do.
There's even been talk of people, depending on which kind of drone you get, requiring a pilot's license to be able to fly one of these, and that in itself is like, wow, that's serious. So this is going to be interesting to see what 2015 brings in the world of drones.
Drones. Yeah. As long as they don't look like Skynet drones, I'm fine. As long as like the military drones don't make its way to the. Anyway, so my first story, which is it was one of those things where it was like I saw it. I don't know if I want to talk about it. I was back and forth on it a whole bunch, but we should be concerned about hacking in general. I mean, there's obviously your white hat, gray, black hat, different versions of hackers. We should think about how this affects our lives. Recently, I was trying to help someone whose Microsoft account was hacked, and it was over the Thanksgiving break, and they had lost all of their pictures, all their files, all of their stuff that was automatically uploaded.
Ouch.
And when you think about being hacked or hackers and stuff like that, it's cool to glorify it to a certain point, and it's also something that we as the superheroes, if you will, of this internet age need to really pay attention to. Because, I mean, this person, no person is perfect. This person is not the best person in the whole world. But they didn't deserve to lose everything. I often wonder if that's what their intention was as a hacker, was to infect so many people. But some will believe there's casualties in war, and I don't know why one would see this particular subject as war. But I'm getting to my point, I promise. Sony Pictures was hacked, and a lot of the films that were haven't even been released yet were hacked and released so that people could put them in, torrent or wherever on servers and all that kind of thing to watch. And as much as Game of Thrones is not my favorite show, and go ahead, write into the show, tell me how much you hate me because I said I didn't like Game of Thrones. I just find it unnecessary and completely. You need to not put off putting the cool things in. You have to wait like 4 seasons before you even see dragons. But are like interactions with awesome stuff like that. But anyways, my point is that it's one of the most hacked or one of the most illegally viewed shows in history. And you think about all that revenue that's lost, right? And you think about how much revenue that these things lost. Moving into the future where we have the Voodoos, where we have the Netflixes, where we have the Amazons of the world. And like today, there's been a plethora of stories already coming out about hackers and stealing identity for Cyber Monday shopping. So we should kind of be aware of this stuff and just be a little bit more safer, maybe find out more about it, maybe try to do a little bit more to protect yourself, like two-factor authentication and stuff like that. So, Kevin, I've been talking for like 5 minutes. Stop me.
Okay, stop, JJ. No, I saw this story yesterday as well, and Sony, had that big hack. Was it last year or 2013, where people, got in there and messed with the servers and everything like that. And I think Sony really took a big PR hit on that. And a lot of people are thinking this latest thing has to do with that new James Franco, Seth Rogen movie coming out called The Interview, where they're supposed to be enlisted by the CIA to assassinate the North Korean leader, blah, blah, blah. So, it's meant to be a comedy, but obviously North Koreans probably aren't taking it as a comedy. So I don't know. Some things you wonder why they get hacked, and others you're like, well, I guess maybe you had it coming, but I don't know. I really don't like the fact that you have to worry about this stuff, but obviously that's just the nature of society today. Like you mentioned, do some two-step authentication, make sure you've got some strong passwords, and just hope for the best, unfortunately.
Totally. And make your passwords like ridiculous.
Yeah.
Just make them like ridiculously hard. Go out of your way to make those things difficult. All right, yeah. Kevin, you're up at the next story.
All right, so Steve Jobs, the ex-Apple CEO, has been, passed away back in 2011, wow. And he still has been receiving patents for things he had in the works, and he has been awarded 141 different patents since he passed away.
That's crazy.
Which like in this little article from the MIT Technology Review, mentions that that's more than most inventors win during their lifetimes. Now, this isn't all of these aren't not really all towards like hardware and stuff like that. A lot of it is just software and design, kinds of patents. But it's just really interesting. It's kind of like some, musical artists. They still release albums upon albums of new content years after they've passed away. Look at people like Tupac. I mean, he's released more albums since he's been dead than he did while he was alive.
That's just crazy talk.
Yeah. So it's just interesting to
the
see.
length to which people go to bring him back to life is insane, right? Like they have virtual Michael Jackson, virtual Tupac, virtual,
Right.
I wonder if one day they'll have a virtual Steve Jobs again. Like, hey guys, I bet you all thought I was dead. Well, guess what? My brain's like powering this, I don't know. But it's crazy. But it's a cool story, and I mean, it kind of shows you where things are. Like even I should say Steve Jobs, who was such a high profile person, how long it takes for patents to actually go through and so on, right?
Yeah. I mean, one interesting thing is, Apple lawyers kept filing patents in his name every few days, including one for a variation of the Mac's scrolling toolbar on October 4th of 2011, the day before he passed away. So they're
Wow.
still submitting patents, up until the day before he passed away.
That's craziness. Positive note, Star Wars trailer is out. There's been tons of stuff all over the internet as far as comparing this trailer to other trailers that were released back in 1970 or whatever, and like
Yeah, 77.
77, and there's been like comparisons, there's been analyst review, there's been fake Star Wars thing, like because I saw a whole bunch of fake ones before I saw the real one, and then once I saw the real one, I'm like, how in the world did they make all these other ones? They just reused other, I don't know. Stop
clips.
Stop doing that. That's like clickbait stuff. Stop doing that. Because you got me like 5 times before I actually saw the one I wanted to see. Super stoked, man. I mean, this is pretty cool. A lot of people, I think, the Dangerously Smart guys, they on their Facebook page did like this picture where like the Sith, broadsword version of the lightsaber where it has the two things that come out on the side. Cross guard, yeah. So they have like a the Swiss Army knife thing.
Yes, I saw that.
That was pretty good. That is pretty funny. Now, Kevin and I are both fans, but I gotta say, if you're in the tech field, a tech area at all, you're into Star Wars. I mean, come on.
There's a higher percentage you are than you're not.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some data on that. Anyways, so I was excited to see it. It's like one of those things, though. This is the year of this is what's coming. It's cool, but you have to wait till 2015 to find out, right?
Yeah, I mean it's over a year away until we'll see that movie.
Yeah, and it's frustrating because it's like Apple Watch, wait, Windows, wait, this and this, wait. Just wait.
Here's your teaser, but wait.
Here's your teaser. It's like I don't want to wait. It was like it's like the minute after, or the 3 minutes or 4 minutes or half hour after watching the last Lord of the Rings movie that you're like, son of a, I have to wait another year for this.
Right, for the next version.
It's like, God, duh. Or like the Avengers or the Transformers or whatever. Like you're just like, I have to wait. I don't want to wait. I want it all now. That's why I like binge watching stuff.
Speaking of binge watching, they have announced today that the next season of House of Cards is going to be available on Netflix on February 27th, I believe. So
is that
House of Cards fans?
Is that the 3rd season?
That'll be the 3rd season, yes.
Whoa. So me and the wife are going to take advantage of that 30-day Netflix thing you can do for free or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And we're doing it just specifically to watch that show because there's been so many people who were like, over the holiday, dude,
man, you got to see it.
You've got to watch that show. I was like, okay, fine. I'll watch it. I'll binge watch it or whatever. So, anyways, Kevin, you're up with the next story.
All right, so the next thing that I would like to talk about, there's rumors floating around already for the next version of the HTC One. Obviously, they're going to dub it the HTC One M9 after the M7 and M8. Now,
awesome naming convention here.
Yeah, just keeping it simple and rolling right along. Now, according to NeoWin.net, and who kind of got this information from Chinese social media. The next HTC One model will be scheduled, or kind of expected to run a Snapdragon 805 processor with 3 gig of RAM. Will supposedly feature a 5.5-inch display with, quad HD, and obviously they'll have the dual front-facing stereo speakers, so boom sound will make their return. And the biggest detail that most people will be concerned about is the fact that HTC is rumored to be dropping the ultra pixel camera and go back to a quote-unquote tried and tested 16 megapixel shooter with optical image stabilization. And another nice detail for people like me that love these little details, they're saying the HTC One M9 may be powered by a 3500 milliamp battery. So,
whoa.
Yeah. That sounds like one heck of a phone.
That does sound like one heck of a phone.
Now, how awesome would it be, for you Windows Phone fans out there, if they released the HTC One M9 with Android and Windows on the same day on all carriers? How awesome would that be?
That would actually, I would buy that phone. I'm not going to buy a phone until Windows supports. I'm not going to buy another Windows phone until Windows Phone supports Windows 10, and it's a quad core, and at least 3 gigs of RAM, and it's supported on multiple carriers.
Yeah, I think this will be the first one that if they do that, Microsoft, please make this deal with HTC. Hopefully the whole M8 was kind of the first step in that direction. Maybe that'll be the first phone that releases with the Windows Phone 10 on it.
So I'd been wondering why, and Andy Long actually told me this, was even though I have a 1080p Windows Phone screen quality, the resolution isn't 1080p. Like, everything on there isn't all that crisp because it's still that 800 by 600 or whatever, or 640. I was like, I did not know that. Surprise! Because I was like, man, I look at other phones and I'm like, that is really crisp for being 1080p. Why isn't mine as crisp? Right. And it's because, well, on the net it's fine, on the internet it's fine, but the operating system itself does not support that yet, like that resolution. So the screen isn't. Yeah. So until they support like the quad HD or whatever, I'm not going to get another one. Anyways, I'm not going to, just because I have enough to hold me over. Which brings me into my next story. Kevin, that was an awesome story. Thank you for diving deep into that. Let's talk a little bit about the 1020's successor, possibility of the Lumia 1030. Now, many of you, our listeners, probably know the Lumia 1020 from the camera bump that's on the back, meaning that giant hockey puck looking thing on the back of the phone, which I have my 1020 right here, showing it to everyone who is watching the video.
Yes.
So, man, I love the form factor of this phone. I actually kind of like that hockey puck looking thing in the back. I really love this phone, and I miss it. The fact that it doesn't have 1080p screen is frustrating, and the fact that for some reason the software is a little buggy, so it won't allow me to look at any like videos on the net. So like when I go to, say, our site, for example, the techinformist.com, when I pull up and I want to watch the video, it won't. It says there's an error with Internet Explorer.
Yeah, it could just be an IE thing.
It's a this phone thing, because I tried it on my 1020, my 1520, my 820, and
920.
I already said 920. So X20. I tried it on. Right? Anyway, so the successor possibly to the Lumia 1020 is the Lumia 1030. And now Neowin, which is a great site that has a lot of Microsoft news, has got a hold of some possible spec leaks for the next version of this thing. Obviously, the Nokia branding is gone. The camera, the front-facing camera, is actually moved over to the left. If you guys are looking at the pictures of this thing, from Kevin, are you watching on the site just to make sure?
No, I was just looking at something on my Nexus. It's okay.
Okay. Anyway, so the front-facing camera, the front-facing camera had issues on the 920 because it was so close to the speaker for when you're making and receiving calls. The headset speaker, it got dirt and like dust inside of it, so they moved it off to the right. Well, now it's moved back to the left in these pictures, so it's got me a little concerned there. But no capacitive buttons, so it's all on-screen buttons for the back, home, and Cortana/Bing search for the magnifying glass on there. It's a 5-inch screen. It has the camera bump in the back, but the camera bump in the back is protected by what looks like glass, or I would assume Gorilla Glass, which has gotten me concerned. So a lot of things got me concerned. Maybe only 2 gigabytes of RAM, not quad core, 1080p display, yes. And the megapixels not quite higher than what was on the 1020. So obviously running Windows Phone 8.1. Kevin, what are your thoughts on the successor to the 1020? I mean, what did you hear out of what I said that does not sound enticing?
I mean, to me, it just sounds good. I know a lot of people are just waiting for, the updated version with, some updated hardware. Even if they use the same camera processor and hardware, I think pretty much everybody would be happy with that. Just, make the whole experience run faster with the true optimization for 8.1, faster CPU, more RAM, etc., and just make sure you have at least 32 gig of storage on there. Mm-hmm. And that's what people want. They want this device. A lot of people are just right now. Windows Phone fans are just yearning for.
They're mad. Windows Phone fans are mad. I know Windows Phone fans are mad because that's my peeps, man. That's the majority of people who either tweet to me or follow me or we talk or whatever, and they're all mad, and rightfully so. This is the holiday season where we're not seeing anything, like legit.
The 830. That's it.
Yeah, and it was like really the 830. That's what you're gonna go with, and these low end, 635 with no front facing camera, no flash. And you wouldn't believe how many people were like on Windows Phone, like the 520, and they wanted to upgrade, and they're like, I don't want to do Windows Phone anymore because I want to have flash, I want to have apps, I want to have this, that. And it was just like, it was heart-wrenching, man. It's like they dropped the ball. Like the 735 would have been a good phone, but it's still, I don't even know if it's not even out yet in the U.S., is it?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, so it's like, what the. Come on, man. It's like a version of the ESPN's "Come On, Man." It's just like, come on, man.
Yeah. Give me some options.
I know. So you're up with your next story.
Okay, I know. Let me. Darn it.
Everybody, I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving. And some of the stories that I asked on Facebook while Kevin's pulling up his story was, what were some of the tech problems you guys ran into that you had to solve? Because if you're listening to this show, you probably more than likely are the tech person for your family, or at least you're a go-to person or whatever. And I threw out a thing. It was like, okay, what were some of your stuff that you ran into? And let's see. Let's see. What was some of the stuff? So take care of the family this year. 7 comments. Okay, so this is what I've. A lot of questions about fitness trackers, the Microsoft band. That was interesting. The other one was iPhone 6, Nexus 6, S5 deals on the Nexus 6, drones, Siri, and Cortana. So I think that Microsoft's ads are really good, and I think they should have backed it up with the device. Okay, Kevin, your next story.
All right, so the last story that I've got today is that LG and Apple are both working on their quote-unquote Surface Pro competitors. So we know Apple has they've talked about making a slightly larger iPad that would be more powerful and run like a more true version of, OS X, or the newest version of the Apple operating system. And LG is also working on, their own Windows version that would, have a removable detachable keyboard, similar to what HP released within the last couple weeks, with has a kickstand and the touchpad and keyboard and all that stuff. No words yet on whether there'll be a stylus with the LG version. You would definitely think the iPad version would not, since Apple has never really gone the whole stylus route.
Stylus route, yeah.
But no, it's very interesting looking at some of these images, and again we'll link to these stories in the show notes. But it's interesting. It just goes to show how much of a impact that the Surface Pro 3 has caused this year. It's created a lot of ripples with companies wanting to hop on board.
Yeah, it's the one device that I think Microsoft can get behind that consumers actually care about.
Right. So it's not a whole. It is different, but it's not like a huge leaps and bounds over the Pro 2 and Pro 1.
I know. I hear you. I totally hear you.
But it's great. It's lightweight. It's thin. It's attractive. It's very very flexible with its functionalities. It can do so much.
So one of the things we talk about a lot on this show is Amazon. I mean, we do a little bit, but wow, Amazon is a huge ecosystem. They have a whole bunch of stuff. Today, a lot of people are going to be doing their Cyber Monday shopping on Amazon or for now Amazon stuff. Kevin, what are your thoughts on price drops on the TV, the Fire Stick, the Fire Phone, all of their Fire stuff? It feels like there's a Fire sale.
Yeah, kind of to a point there is. I think the Fire TV for $70. To me, it's a good deal. It's a nice little device. Even whenever I go to cast Netflix, I have the option whether I want to cast it to my Chromecast or cast it to my Fire TV. Both options show up, and if I select the Fire TV, the Fire TV activates Netflix on there. So
I've got Prime, and if you want to watch shows or series of TVs and stuff, and if you want really if you want to get into something cool, Amazon Prime, it's cool. You can watch TV shows for free. You can watch movies for free. Yeah, well, not for free, but I mean it's all music. Music. Tons of music and TV and shows, and if you want discounted deals on shipping and 2-day shipping and all that for free, man, it's pretty cool, dude.
Yeah, it's well worth. It was better when it was $70 or $80.
Yeah.
I'll still renew for $100.
It really does make economic sense. Because if you're going to consume the stuff anyways, you might as well save money while doing it, right? And Amazon is a good ecosystem, and I think it's going to be around for a long time. But their Fire Phone did not sell, and still at $200, I still don't think it's going to sell.
Yeah, was it $200 off contract now?
Yeah, $200 off contract, so no contract, $200 phone, but it's not really. It's not an Android phone. It's an Amazon phone. It's literally just a gateway to, and I'm stealing Paul Thurrott's term, it's a gateway to Amazon. It's literally just Amazon going, okay, we're gonna hang out with you. We're gonna be your buddy in your pocket. All right. So when you take the Firebug or whatever Firefly thing or whatever it is. So you take a picture of an item or a barcode or a thing, it shows you how much you could buy it on Amazon for. It's not, and yeah, it's cool user design and stuff, and that was neat, but there's no value proposition for it because the ecosystem's so small.
All right.
You know what I mean? You might as well just get an Android phone because you can get pretty much everything on there.
Yeah, you may as well.
So that are our news stories for the week, but that doesn't end the show. We're going to hop on down to the tech ticker. Now, I didn't do this last week, and I apologize, but I'm making up for it now. We're going to talk communications. We're going to talk carriers, guys and gals. We're going to talk awesome stuff. So the tech ticker is a pun, if you will, on keeping track of stocks and keeping track of the money, because that money is everything in this world. I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. So as far as looking at the tech ticker going forward, I'm picking companies in a sector, okay, that I want you guys to know about. So let's talk about Sprint. Sprint opened at $4.93 a share. Holy cow. They have been just smacked over like an open smack to the face, if you will. They closed at $4.92. The news effect. Sprint is hurting. So the CEO is shaking things up and changing of the guard for the marketing CEO post. Also, more group-oriented rate plans. We've seen their commercials for the iPhone with the girls screaming.
Yeah.
That is the most annoying commercial ever. I think that their move to the sheep or the goat or whatever it was screaming, that was hilarious. So more of that, less of the girls with the high pitch screaming.
Yeah, breaking glass.
And the one girl that was in that commercial says her tea's way too good. No one should ever talk that clean. It's just like she's like, should we now eat? Like, it's very tea, you know? Don't do that. It freaks me out. No one should do that. Also, the Amazon commercial where the guy says tablet, and the way that he says it, your Amazon tablet, like your Fire tablet. It's like very condescending the way he says it. It's a tablet. You should just say tablet, not tablet. It's like you're spelling a word out for a child. How dare you? All right. Predictions for this stock going forward. I'm back on Sprint now. My tirade's over. This stock is going to take a beating because of the continued growth of T-Mobile, AT&T, and Verizon, all competing more in monthly rate plans and devices. AT&T is up next. The open for this stock is at $34.58 a share, and the close was at $34.98. News effect: AT&T can't really get out of their own way. First, with the bad customer service over the last couple of years, they've kind of turned that ship around a little bit, but not a whole lot. Then the FCC investigation, because of the whole net neutrality thing, we're going to stop rolling out our high-speed internet because we don't know what the government's going to do. Really? Really? That was a joke. So now today, hackers have found out that gigabit isn't really a gigabit worth of download speeds, so that was interesting. Also, there's an issue that they had to settle for a $52 million lawsuit on their e-cycling campaign. Predictions for this stock may peak because of the Black Friday sales and the desire for most people to have an iPad or iPhone or whatever the case may be is. But look for some disappointments overall in AT&T stock going forward because they can't get it out of their own way. And this, again, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just telling you what's going on in the market. Verizon. Now, this is a stock I'm pretty bullish on. Open, $49.35. Close, $50.31 a share. News effect: Verizon, for all of their negative consumer feelings towards them, they are still producing very attractive pricing and services for mobile and broadband service. So they're, you can get crazy upload and download speed for their broadband provider service. You can get, service pretty much anywhere. Verizon's well known for their high-speed data that they can get down to mobile devices. They saw an uptick in shares after a successful Black Friday. Predictions for this stock: Verizon will continue to be a very good stock, I think, and keep their returns up. Also, as long as AT&T keeps shooting themselves in the foot and T-Mobile is still unable to bring quote-unquote good coverage to all the locations Verizon can because of their building penetration that you can get with Verizon. So T-Mobile is up next. There is no other carrier that's been more disruptive. So the open for this is $29.60 a share. They're closed $28.45. The news effect, this carrier is there is no other carrier that's like it in the U.S. From their CEO to their marketing department and their disruptive rate plans, all in the U.S., the whole of the United States is aware of T-Mobile because of their claims, because of their rate plans, because of all the things they offer now. There has been a dip in shares, however, after the announcement that a user can use their device for Wi-Fi calling. Predictions, I think that the T-Mobile, that what is T-Mobile, their campaign and everything that's going on will have to end its run soon, meaning that within the next few months there is going to be a month or two where we see a slowdown in T-Mobile, and the reason for that is you can only undercut everybody for so long, and then eventually you're going to get hit by not making as much money as you could have been making. So that's just my thoughts, and that ends our news segment of the week. If you want to comment or contribute on any of the stories, give us feedback. Contact at thetechinformist.com. Email us. We won't spam you back or anything like that. If you just email us, tell us what you think, whatever, we'd really appreciate it. Now let's get to our application picks of the week. Kevin, you're up with your first application pick.
All right. So we recently moved, and it has been a little while since I've actually, used this app. But the app that I want to talk about today is the Domino's Pizza app. Now, just simply ordering pizza, choosing carry-out, delivery, etc., and just how easy it is on Android, iOS, and also Windows Phone. I used it on my Nexus 6, so I was using the Android version, obviously, and just getting the instant notifications that, such and such took your order, such and such is preparing it, such and such put it in the oven, and so is out delivering it. And I was like, wow, just getting all those instant little notifications right there up at the top. I could just scroll down and check the progress of it whenever I wanted until they showed up. Like, that is nice. Very, very convenient. I haven't used the voice interaction within the app yet, but it does have a voice interaction.
The Windows Phone app did not work for me. It was like, sorry.
That's weird, because I've used the Windows Phone version, and it worked fine for me. But
I was so frustrated. Okay.
It's been a couple months.
I was so frustrated. This was last week.
No, but I know a lot of people kind of go off on chain pizza, but I think Domino's finally got things figured out after they redid a lot of their recipes and stuff with the sauce and the crust and everything. I think they're really
taking out the additive that's put into shoes. Yeah, it's probably a good idea.
Nobody wants your pizza to taste like leather.
Right. Or silicone, or rubber. So that's cool, man. No, I think the Android and iOS thing is pretty good. The last pizza I had from there was good, so yeah. I had to call him, which I was like, this is not cool, It's like,
I don't want to have to call.
I don't want to have to call. I want to use the app, man. That's cool, man. All right. Anyway, so my picks are Stitcher. So Stitcher is a really cool podcast. Not just podcasts. They have other casts, if you will, on there. But Stitcher is really cool. It's for Android. There's ads in there, but whatever. It's still really cool, and I like it a lot. So that's for Android. I really like it. They do a good job of kind of retweeting. I know it's just an automated bot thing or whatever, but they retweet the show. So that's pretty cool to their followers. So that's really cool. And the next one is, so I'm wearing the Microsoft band, and I've been keeping track of all of that kind of stuff. I'm a little ticked off that I can't share my Microsoft Health information with this new app but with this app that I'm about to say, Health Vault. Health Vault. It's for Windows and Windows Phone. Health Vault is a way, and I believe you can do it on the web too, but for Windows and Windows Phone, it's for free. And it's a safe and secure way to store all of your medical information inside Microsoft's very secure and protected deal. Is there a child in the background?
No, it's my cat.
Okay.
My son's up.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, so I was like, holy cow, I didn't know you had a new kid. You didn't tell me.
No.
Congratulations.
No,
So
she's only one.
So the Windows and Windows Phone application is pretty slick and pretty sweet. I like it a lot, but it's a really good way to keep track of your health. I'm really big into health now, and all the stuff that's connected to helping me with my knowing more about myself and keeping track of all that sort of thing. So Health Vault, it's for Windows and Windows Phone. It's really cool. So those are my application picks of the week, and they're for free.
Good, good.
Well, Kevin, was there anything else you wanted to add to the end of this wonderful episode?
No, that pretty much wraps things up.
Perfect. So that ends the show. Now, thank you again to our guest, Ed Bott, and he was just a really cool guy. He seemed legit. He seemed really cool, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Great guy to talk with.
Yep. So thank you from the entire STL or Tech Talk, Codecast, the Tech Informist, STL Tech Chic, STL Tech Media, everything that we do. Consider yourself informed. We're out.